In 4th grade, math was... I was good at math. I knew that because when they put you in the GATE classes, right, you take that GATE test, right? I didn't do well on that one. But she's like, well, your test scores for, like, everything else match up, so you'll be a GATE student. So I always felt that I was good at math, and then I went to middle school. You were given this basic exam of how to multiply fractions, how to divide fractions, and all that basic stuff. The first time that I took that, I failed. And I remember thinking, how do I not know how to multiply fractions? Like, how do I not know how to divide fractions? And I was like, that's something that you learn before you get to middle school. And so I felt a little frustrated, I remember. But I remember YouTubing a video on how to add and multiply and divide fractions. I don't think anybody told me that. I think I just figured that there's so many things that you can do on the internet at that age that I could figure out how to multiply.
Yeah.
And then from then on, I was like that experience, like, if I don't understand something, I know that I can find a video that will explain it to me. 8th grade is where I felt like I don't understand math. I don't know anything about it. Like, how could I felt so discouraged and insecure when I did math. And I think that it wasn't just because it was math, but just because I was going through things. But I got separated from my mother when I was like 9, right? So I went to go live with my dad, and it was when she was coming back into my life that I sort of felt like discouraged with school in general. And it's just because she had one day of a week to pick me up, right? So it was Wednesdays and every other weekend. And I would wait after school for her to pick me up every Wednesday. Like, no matter what, I would never call my dad. I'd be like, no, she's gonna come pick me up. Like, this is one day of the week that she's gonna remember. And like, I don't know, majority of the time she didn't remember, and like that bothered me. And so I always felt like when I went to school the next day, I'd be like, well, she didn't come. So like, I don't know, I wasn't having a good time in 8th grade. Miss Felmer, the amazing thing about Miss Felmer is that she realized that, right? Mm-hmm. So she realized that I wasn't having a good time, and she realized that's probably another reason why I wasn't doing good in math. Because I wasn't as focused as I should have been. Like, second semester I did better because I was able to, because she was so supportive. She was supportive of the things that I didn't understand. She had after school tutoring too. So you could go in there and you could get help. And I remember that she was explaining the quadratic formula. And this is the first time that I like ever learned where an equation came from, right? So she was teaching how you get how you get the vertex, how you get all that. Like, she explained the whole process. So that was the first time in math that I had learned why something worked. When I went to Samueli, I didn't get into Segerstrom, I didn't get into Godinez, I didn't want to go to any of my neighborhood schools. So I watched this presentation, and they like hype you up, and they like, oh, we're gonna give each student a laptop, every student wants to be here, that sort of thing, right? So I was like, yeah, like, I feel empowered to go there, right? And so when I went to Samueli, I was mad because the math classes, it was integrated, they were called integrated math. Mm-hmm. So it's integrated 1, integrated 2, integrated 3, and then pre-calculus. So I was like, the highest math I'll ever go to is pre-calculus? Like, no. And so my freshman year, I took integrated 1, even though I like begged to let me take integrated 2. They're like, no, we can't let you do that. The beginning of second semester is when I started here. I moved in the middle of the year because I wanted to leave sooner than that. I wanted to leave the beginning of my sophomore year because I didn't like the fact that I was going to take AP Bio without taking regular biology. I didn't like the fact that there was only 4 girls in the class. And like, I felt like that was really like, because they picked who got to go into AP Bio. So I was like, well, why isn't that empowering more girls to, to go into the advanced science class. It was an engineering and design based school, and you chose your pathway your sophomore year. So if you were going to go to engineering or design, and the entire engineering department was run by guys, and so I didn't see a lot of women or girls in STEM, and they didn't really encourage girls as much to go into STEM. Like, I was the only girl doing the after school robotics, and I guess that's everywhere, but like I felt like because we're a STEM school, like we should have encouraged more girls to be like, oh hey, join this. And project-based learning does not work for math. I don't think that like we should have done so many things that were project-based learning, just because when I got here, like the math was hard for me. Math was hard for me because I wasn't doing as many practice problems. Like our homework was based around a project. So I wasn't getting as much practice in, and I wasn't like understanding everything. Like we did logs and we did all that exponential stuff. And I don't remember any of it because it was all put into one project. In one project that had one version of an equation. So it's like you don't get an abundance of application. And that's what really like messed me up. Yeah. And so algebra 2 is where I started here. And then I skipped pre-calculus to go into calculus. Okay. I just told my counselor, like, put me in the calculus class. She's like, okay. Like, she didn't think twice about it. Just because she figured, like, okay, well, she'll figure it out or something. Yeah. And I didn't talk to Mr. B until the first day of school, or the first week, that I was like, I didn't take pre-calculus. Then he was like, you know you're gonna have like trouble with trig, right? But the thing about calculus is that you could learn the trig as you're going. Math is hard, but like I find it so interesting that even if it's hard, I'm like, why? Like I want to know why this doesn't work or why this does work. When I think of math, I think how something works. In terms of numbers, I find that even if it's difficult, even if it's something that is hard to understand, there's always an explanation for it. Like there's always a process for how to get something. The thing with calculus is you have to understand the fundamentals. Yeah, so you can understand calculus, but if you don't understand algebra, then it's sort of like you can't do the calculus. And so that's where a lot of people get stuck. Like as a calculus class, we understand the calculus concepts, but it's doing the whole like basic math behind it. So a lot of people will look at a problem and think that's too difficult. They won't take different steps or different approaches to it. So I think a person who's good at math will be like, okay, there's different ways you can do this. And so they try each one. I can't not finish a problem, especially when I'm gonna take the exam. Like if one problem is too hard, I can't just not answer it. I have to try different ways to show work that I tried to, or at least attempted to, figure it out. And that's how you get credit on tests. I don't think that anybody is bad at anything. I think that there's just people that try, there's people that don't. Everybody is capable of learning math and being successful in math. It's just that they just get discouraged somewhere. And I don't want to be a teacher, but I want to be a teacher because I want to be a teacher that could encourage someone to change how they look at school. It came from being somewhere really low and not being able to understand and thinking that I wasn't capable of doing something, and then someone encouraging me, someone telling me like, this is fine, it's fine that you don't understand, let's look at it this way, or just improving, like having an upward trend of anything. So if I do badly somewhere, but I do great the next place, like that encourages me to try harder. Like, oh, like in chemistry, I've never taken a chemistry course, but I'm taking AP chemistry. When I first started, we had these quizzes called polyatomic ion quizzes, where we have to name the formulas, right? and I failed a majority of them, right? But I wasn't doing anything to fix that. I wasn't like going to him and asking him because I felt insecure about asking him. And then I did well on one. And then because I did well on that one, I was like, okay, I'm going to try harder. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And then slowly my grade for that has been improving. And like, even he's like, you know, you're getting better. You're getting better. And like, because that happened, because I improved like once, it encouraged me to go and do it again and to continuously try harder so that I could get a better grade on the next quiz. And so like, that's even this year, like, you know, like I felt discouraged in chemistry. I'm like, I'm never gonna understand it, like there's no way. And then now, because I know that I can, and because because I've spent that time trying to, I don't feel discouraged at all, and I feel like I have the same potential to pass the AP exam as anybody else who's taking chemistry already.